John Whitaker. John, what's your question?
Governor Bush, as a local financial advisor, I worry a lot about debt. I dislike debt.
Yeah.
And we have quickly seen our country go from $9 trillion in national debt to $19 trillion. If elected, what could you do to help slow entitlement spending, to help get the debt under control, to protect future generations?
Well, first of all, we need to create a culture of savings rather than a culture of debt, not just for the government, but for all of us. If you think about it, and you know this because you're in this business, 63% of Americans can't make a $500 car payment. They don't have the cash to do that. And 60% of Americans don't have more than $1,000 of cash available to deal with whatever comes their way. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're struggling. They're struggling in any kind of hardship. There's no security. There's no safety net for them, and it creates real hardship. So whatever we do, we also need to be promoting and providing incentives for savings. My little business, my son Jeb is here, we had a business of 4 people. And I decided we were going to have a 401k. It cost $1,000 to open up the 401k. A 4-person business, that's a cost that is really, I probably shouldn't have done it if it was just simply based on a sound business decision. But we should allow businesses to pool their money, to pool their employees, to create 401k opportunities over a broader scale like large businesses have the opportunity to do. We should allow businesses to, instead of having a 401k, if they don't want to do that, to get a tax-free deduction to invest in their employees' IRA, which is another way of doing this. I think Social Security beneficiaries, once they reach retirement age and they're continuing to work, should not have to pay the employee portion of the payroll tax. It's their money. They've already made the contributions into the Social Security system. Why not allow them to keep the 6+% going directly to their pockets? It's a form of retirement savings. It just stays in their pocket instead of going through the government process. There's a lot of ways that we should promote private savings, is my point. As it relates to fixing the debt from government, there are 3 things that we have to do. I'd say 4. 1, grow the economy at 4%, not 2%. That 2% incremental growth, if you just do the compounding out, but given the scale of our economy, you would create a Germany of additional economic activity in the 10th year if we created a high growth strategy. And a Germany of economic activity is a heck of a lot of revenue that would be coming into the federal government. So growing at a faster rate, which means tax reform, regulatory reform, embracing the energy revolution, dealing with the things that are now impeding our ability to invest in our own country. And I have specific plans. If you're interested, Jeb2016.com. So go, if you want to have a wonkathon, a policy wonkathon, every one of the detailed plans we laid out are there. Secondly, we need career civil service reform. There shouldn't be lifetime guarantees for government workers. Government workers in Washington get paid 40% more than their equivalent workers in the private sector. Why? They're supposed to be the servants, not the masters. But yet we've allowed this to happen because they have these protections that make it harder to adjust, to reform, to challenge. We're stuck. We're stuck in a 20th century world with the 20th century bureaucracy in a 21st century world. So I did that as governor of the state of Florida. We have to do it in Washington. Third, we need entitlement reform, as you said, and we need to reform our Social Security system. I would repeal Obamacare and replace it with a consumer-directed model that would, in lieu of all of the subsidies and taxes and all the mandates, we would shift all this away from Washington, create state exchanges that are not coercive, and have catastrophic coverage to be the norm, low premium, catastrophic coverage, with pre-existing conditions being the one standard that would be kept from Obamacare, and allowing your young adults, children, to be able to stay on your plan should you so desire, and give people that aren't receiving insurance through their company a $3,100 tax credit, a refundable tax credit, to allow them to purchase on exchanges, allow them to cross lines, allow them to pick the best plan for themselves and their families. This would be a far less costly way and would deal with these out-year costs of Obamacare that are going to be devastating. Similarly, Medicare needs to have reforms, and Social Security, and I would push Medicaid back to the states. I know if I was governor today of Florida, I could take the Medicaid dollars that the state right now has and I could create a Medicaid, 21st century Medicaid program for people of low income that would cost less and would have significantly better outcomes. As long as Washington didn't impose the rules on it, you could too. That's the beauty of this, is common sense applied without all the rules around it. We could recast a lot of these programs. So shifting power away from Washington is the other way to deal with the deficit. You do those four things: high growth, career civil service reform, entitlement reform, and shifting how we educate, transportation, every possible thing back to the states. I want to be the 10th Amendment president, because the government in Washington was not designed to do all the things that it's doing now. That's how you get back to moving towards a balanced budget. We can do this. I believe in my heart that we can.
Thank you,
Thank you, Governor.
Governor. If you'll just have a seat. He's got a couple of